Shalom, 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 shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. Ba'Shem HaMashiach Malak Yahweh Shai. This is Brother Zamran, Watchman for Israel, Seattle, coming live right now with another cold cut to wake up our people, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the real Jews, the real Israelites the Bible speaks of. I want to say shalom to you guys. I want to say shalom to the brothers who are out there on the highways and hedges, who are presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice in these last days, in season and out of season, during the rain, during the tumult, during all the diverse weather. I want to say shalom to you, brothers. I also want to say shalom to the mighty Aquath in this truth, who are reverencing their households, being submissive to their husbands, operating in the spirit of our mighty foremothers. I want to say shalom to y'all. And I also want to say shalom to the brothers and sisters, right, who are just now learning that they are in this truth, just now learning and returning back to their heritage and nationality. I want to say shalom to y'all as well. As you see the title, be like Job in these last days, because we remind our people every single day that we are living in the last days, and we're going to constantly keep reminding our people that until everything ends, because we have a job to do as men of the Lord in this thing, and it is our job to wake up the lost sheep. It is our job to wake up our people who are looking for hope, because we were once in that state of mind where we had no clue of what was going on. We had no clue what to do when turmoil comes our way. We had no clue on what to do when afflictions came our way. And we are encountering into that fifth seal, to where afflictions are going to raise up at an all-time high, to where a lot of us brothers is going to be put to that test, even us sisters, man. And if you don't get into the accounts of your forefathers, you're not going to know what to do when these times come around you, man, when these times come on you. So we have to get into the accounts of our mighty forefathers, right? The prophets, man, right? Even men of the Lord, man, right? Who paved the way for us to know what to do in these last days. Now, real quick, I want to start with the book of Job, right? Chapter 8, verse 8, the classic. This is Job chapter 8, verse 8, and it says, "For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers." So we have to acquire of the former age, inquire of the old times, right? Inquire of our ancient forefathers to know what to do in this thing, because they've had a lot of knowledge and wisdom that they bestowed upon us by putting this down here in our heritage, man, in our bibliography, which only belongs to us. And we need these things in these last days, man, because this is about enduring, right? Let me get that real quick, man. We're going to get into the book of Job, right? This is not going to be long, right? Just something to prepare us in these last days, man, right? Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24, the classic. Let's start at verse 13. This is Matthew, chapter 24, verse 13. Matter of fact, I'm starting at verse 12. "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Right? And right now, iniquity has abounded at an all-time high. Sin is at its all-time high right now. You have wickedness all throughout the earth, man. Everywhere you go, there's wickedness. Even when you step outside, when you go to your job, right? Even maybe even in your own household, man. Right? Because we're living in these last days. Christ said that iniquity is going to abound when we are looking for the signs of his second coming, right? Verse 13, "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." Because you're going to have a lot of people whose love, right, is going to wax cold. They're going to stop keeping the commandments, because we understand that the definition of love is to keep the commandments. And that is the only way that we truly show that we love the Most High God, man, right? Through his son, Yahweh Shai, is by keeping the commandments. And we're seeing that right now. You got a lot of brothers who's falling out the truth because of affliction that's coming their way. You have a lot of sisters that's falling out this truth and going back into the world, whether it's because a man left them, right, and left them out in the cold, right, and things of that nature, or maybe the children are bucking up on you, or you're literally getting a lot of affliction coming from your family members, right, whether that's, you know what I'm saying, mental, right, or physical. Hey, we got to be able to endure in this thing. And that's what Christ told us, man. And this is why the love of many is waxing cold. So are you going to be that one that's going to stand up against workers of iniquity in these last days? Are you going to be that brother? Are you going to be that sister who's not going to allow your love of the Most High to wax cold, but rather stay strong? Because we have to stay strong in these last days, which is why we have to be like Job in these last days, right? So let's get into it, man, right? Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 1, right? Now I'm going to skim through the whole book of Job, but we're not going to read every chapter. We're just going to touch on the book of Job and major characteristics that we can take from the mighty Job in these last days to be able to know what to do when we are encountering that fifth seal. And shalom to everybody on the chat. I love y'all. Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Job chapter 1. Let's start at verse 1, right? And let's read all the way through 2, man. All right, let's deal with it. There was a man in the land of Uz, Salakia, whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Yahweh and eschewed evil. So Job was known to be a perfect man. A man, right, who eschewed evil. What does it mean to eschew evil? It means to abstain. So Job abstained from evil. And we have to understand, approaching the times that we are coming in, that we have to abstain from evil. We're looking for deliverance. We are looking for healing. We are looking for the Most High to have his hedge of protection covered around us, especially going into this fifth seal. And if we don't abstain from evil, then we're going to end up being caught up in this thing. We're going to end up being destroyed amongst our enemies, right? We're going to end up starving during the famine, right? Hey, there's many things that's getting ready to come here on this earth, especially chiefly dealing here in Babylon the Great, where a lot of us is going to be put to that test if we truly love the Most High. So here you have Job, who is known as a perfect man, right? And understand that the definition of perfection according to the Most High is different than the definition of perfection according to the so-called white man, right? Because David was looked upon as perfect, and yet he sinned. And this is the beauty of having grace, because the Most High sent his son Yahweh Shai to establish grace so that we have a time period to get ourselves together. And during this time period that we're living in right now, what we don't want to do, right, is to sit there and abuse the grace that the Most High has provided for us. So we have to constantly eschew evil like Job did. Absolutely abstain from it, man, right? Verse 2, and there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. Hey, because a lot of us, man, we got kids in this truth, man, that are looking to us as parents to show them the right way, right? Especially as we encounter Jacob's trouble, which is perilous times that is talked about in 2 Timothy chapter 3, right? Let's get that real quick, right? Because you got children in this thing, and we're approaching perilous times. Let's go to the book of 2 Timothy real quick, right? And then we'll come back to Job, right? Let's get that real quick. This is the book of 2 Timothy, right? Chapter 3, I want to say verse 1. All right, bear with me. All right, this is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, verse 1. This know also that in these last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh, right? So we have to understand that these are perilous times that we're actually living in right now. You got a lot of people that are covetous, man. You got a lot of people that are boasters, lovers of themselves. We're seeing children literally turn against their own parents. So this stuff is going to raise up at an all-time high, not only in your household, but in your life if you don't abstain from evil. And here Job, right, had 7 sons and 3 daughters. That's 10 children, right? That's a major blessing when we know that 10 is a number of completion. So it was very important for Job to make sure, him being that head of that household, that he abstained from evil, man, right? And these are things we got to realize, man, right? Because abstaining from evil is truly how you fear the Most High God. Let's get that real quick, man. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 28, verse 28. Right, let's go there. Right, let's go to the book of Job, chapter 28, verse 28. And it says, and unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. So we understand through Proverbs 1 and 7, right? Proverbs 8 and 8, right? That to abstain from evil and to have that fear of the Lord is going to give you wisdom. So if you truly fear the Lord, you have to check yourself and examine yourself in these last days. Am I abstaining from evil? Am I abstaining from all counts of wickedness, man, at the best of my ability? Or am I joining myself unto these evil things? Am I joining myself unto the ways of Babylon the Great when we were instructed in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4, right, to flee Babylon the Great, man, to get out of this wicked mindset that America has bestowed upon our people? Because this is why that we are lost as a nation. And we are trying to build up this nation, man, in hopes to get the kingdom, man, right? So these are things we got to realize. You have to fear the Most High. And to fear the Most High, man, right, you have to abstain from evil. Let's go to Job, back to Job, chapter 1. Let's start at verse 4. This is Job, chapter 1, verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. So here you have Job's sons and daughters that would literally celebrate what the so-called white man calls birthdays. What a lot of us used to do, right? Which is wicked, man, right? Verse 5. And it was so when the days of their feasting were gone about that Job sent and sanctified them and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. So we have to understand that just through this account right now, a lot of us are dealing with family members. A lot of us are dealing with even maybe our own children in our own household, right, who commit sins against the Most High, man. And as you being that head of that household as a man, right, or maybe you're in a single household, right, and you're a sister in this truth, you may not have a head. You may not have a husband. You have to understand that your head is Christ, a Mashiach, man. So it's our jobs to make sure, right, that we are getting on our knees and we're facing the east and we're praying. We're fasting. We're doing everything that we can to be that example, to not only cover our sins, right, but to cover our household, man. Because a lot of you have young children who may not have the full knowledge and understanding of what is right and what is wrong. So we have to understand that, hey, man, that we have to cover, you know what I'm saying? This is why we have to pray and ask for forgiveness, not only for our sins, but for the sins of our forefathers and our foremothers. So we can't be selfish in this thing. We should be praying for our nation as we're getting ready to encounter these perilous times, right? And you're right, right? Sister said that on this comment, right? Just notice that those were birthdays, right? Yes, and the scriptures show you, right, that it is a sin. Because why would Job would have to go and make a sacrifice for his children who are literally feasting every one his day and her day, and would have to rise up early in the morning to make a sacrifice for the atonement of their sins? We have to do that not only for our own household, right, but for us as a nation. Understanding that Christ is that ultimate sacrifice. Hey, he sacrificed himself for us, man. And a lot of us are living our lives like niggas, like nigga mans in the world, man. A lot of our women are living their lives like thoughts, man. We don't deserve this grace that we have. So when we're approaching these perilous times, we have to be like Job at the best of our ability every single day and thank the Most High for the grace that he gave us and ask for forgiveness of sins, man. Right? Now let's jump to verse 6. This is Job chapter 1, verse 6. Right? And it says, now there was a day when the sons of Yahweh came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. So us as men of the Lord, we have to understand that Satan's job is to go to and fro throughout the earth. Everywhere we go, Satan is around. So in order to keep these angels on the right-hand side surrounding us, we have to abstain from evil. We have to fast. We have to pray. We have to constantly be meditating on the scriptures, meditating on the words of the Most High God, man. This is why we're reminded to wear these fringes every single day, man. So when we look down on these fringes and we're reminded that we're Israelites and that we have commandments that we have to keep, because best believe Satan's doing his job. Nobody obeys the Most High more than Satan does. So you have to understand that, right? Verse 8, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth Yahweh and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, do Job fear God for not? So here you have literally the Most High, right, who's seeing Satan as going to and fro, doing his job, deceiving nations of people. And he literally says, have you considered my servant Job? Hey, the Lord will ask that in times. Hey, have you considered my servant, you know what I'm saying, iScope NYC? Have you considered my servant Hebrew Daughter? Have you considered my servant Brother Believe? Have you considered my servant Thapala, you know what I'm saying, Yehuda Yah Israel, right? Hey, the Lord is basically saying, like, look, have you considered my servant Job? Because this brother right here is perfect, man. Hey, the Lord, if you're doing the best that you possibly can to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, you're doing the works of the Most High God, right? You're teaching your nation, right? You're giving alms. You're being that leader in your household. You're trying to do your best to be that leader amongst your nation, to be that light, not only amongst our people, but unto the Gentiles. Hey, the Lord will literally say to Satan, have you considered my servant? To the point that he's like, look, he's trying to show off his vessel of honor, because we were created to be vessels of honor. So when you're not abstaining from evil and you're constantly running to evil, then you are operating in that spirit of vessels of dishonor, like Paul talks about in Romans chapter 9, right? So we have to ask ourselves this: is the Lord in the third heaven right now telling Satan, has he considered us? Has he considered us? You got to ask yourself that, because when you ask yourself that and you truly love the Most High, it's going to put a spirit in you to go 10 times harder in this truth. It should put a spirit in you to read more. It should put a spirit in you to totally separate yourself from wickedness, man. Right? Verse 10, hast not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. See, a lot of us may have major blessings here, right? Maybe living in a, you know, saying in a good state, right? You may be wealthy, right? You got a lot of wealthy people that are actually in this truth, that are Israelites. But we have to understand that the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And you can't sit there and just look at all the things that you have and make it seem as, and just deem yourself to be mighty, right? Because Satan, that's how he's going to look at it, man, because we're cursed as a people, right? So here you have Satan saying, like, look, man, look how much you blessed Job, right? He's the richest man. He has 10 children, right? He has a wife, right? He has all this land. He has all this cattle. He has all these belongings, all these goods. Hey, it seems like he doesn't need nothing, man, right? Let's continue. Verse 11, but put forth thine hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. See, we got to fight against Satan, man, in these last days, right? Satan will sit there and afflict you, right? And he'll sit there and take things away from you, which is why that we cannot put all of our hopes, right, and put all of our cares, right, in, you know what I'm saying, these materialistic things. Don't be covetous. When we are approaching perilous times, it's not the time to be covetous, man. Because if you are coveting after certain things, hey, the Lord's going to take that away from you when we approach these perilous times that we're living in. And what are you going to do, man, if the Lord decides to take, you know what I'm saying, the break, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, you driving around in a damn Corvette, right? And then your engine blows, right? Are you going to lose, you know, you say, are you going to lose that spirit that you have for the Most High? Or are you going to do the best that you possibly can, man, and hop on that bus, man, and still go to camp? Right? Are you going to stop doing the work for the Most High? Are you going to stop reading because all of a sudden you get sick? No, man, you got to go hard. It's during these times of affliction where we are made perfect, man. And we're going to bring that out, right? Let's continue. Let's go to verse 12. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord, right? So the Lord allowed Satan, the Lord is telling Satan to go ahead and do what you want to do to Job. And the Lord could be saying that right now about each and every one of us. Go ahead and do what you want to do to my servant, man. Because really he's trying to show off, right? And we don't want to let our Lord and Savior down. We don't want to let the Most High down. It'd be a shame to let the Most High down when he's up there at the third heaven, man, right? And he's allowing these spirits on the left-hand side to test you. Because the Lord does put us through tests, because we have to be tried like gold is refined, man, right? These are things that we have to understand. We have to be put through that fire, man. And as we are approaching that fifth seal, we're going to be put through that fire, whether you like it or not. So it's time for us to gird up our loins, man, and realize as men of the Lord, right? It's time for us to stand up against workers of iniquity if you're a woman in this truth, man. And operate like the kings and operate like the princesses that the Most High made us to be as the nation of Israel, man, right? Let's jump to verse 18, right? This is Job chapter 1, verse 18. While he was, let me start at verse 17, Salakia. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So here you have Job's men, right, that are being attacked, because now the Lord has given the green light for Satan to go ahead and do what he wants to do. Because remember, Job is being put through the test. And as we are trying to be like Job in these last days, we have to get into the accounts of our forefathers to see the type of test that he was put through, that our forefathers were put through, and then compare them to us. Because what you're going to see as we read in Job, that everything that we may be going through, man, as a nation of Israel, it doesn't even compare to Job. It definitely doesn't compare to Yahweh Shai. So these are things we have to realize, man. We got to humble ourselves in these last days and take joy in the afflictions that come our way. Verse 18. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, right? And they are dead, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So here the first one of the major things that Satan did that the Most High allowed to happen was he allowed a huge tornado to go and kill Job's 10 children, man, while they were just eating and drinking, right? And we don't want to be caught up like that, man, right? When we are approaching these last days, we don't want to be so caught up in just eating and drinking and marrying, man, partaking in the ways of Babylon the Great, right? When the Lord said, get out of her, man. Come out of her, my people, man, right? Because you may not, you know what I'm saying, that covering, you know what I'm saying, whether you're getting it from your parents, whether you're getting it from your grandparents or from even your other brothers in this truth, right? That covering, right, may not cover you, man, as far as dealing with these prayers. So we have to check ourselves. And here Job lost his 10 children, right? You got to ask yourself that. Are you going to fall out this truth if martial law comes knocking at your door and then they snatch up your children because you're in this truth, because you believe in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai? Are you going to denounce the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai if your children happen to be put upon there for guillotines, right? Guns stuck to their head, right? Threats that they're never going to be able to eat anything unless you just denounce the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai? Here Job lost his children. So let's see what happened, right? Let's see what happened. Let's jump to verse 20. Matter of fact, I'm starting at verse 20. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshiped. And a lot of us, we don't even do that, man, when we're going through affliction like this. We don't fall down on our knees and worship. Here, Job just lost all his children, and yet he fell down and worshiped, right? Because the Lord is allowing Satan to try to embarrass him, right? Like you know what I'm saying? That's a great comment, right? These are things we got to realize, man, right? Because we're going to be approaching these times where we're going to be put to the test and we're going to be embarrassed in front of all nations, right? But we have to stand firm. We have to endure these things. This is what this is part of drinking of that cup that Yahweh Shai was talking about in Matthew 20, man, right? 22 on down. Let's start at verse 21. And said, so after he worshiped, this is what Job said. And naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And in all this, Job sinned not, nor charged Yahweh foolishly. You see that? So in all these afflictions, Job did not sin. Hey, some of you brothers may be weak in this truth, man. Right? You thinking that you mighty, you in this truth, and then all of a sudden you lose your job. Or say, I've seen brothers that have been like, well, I don't want my job. Could you not post that video of me, on the highways and hedges, right? Could you please not post that on YouTube? Or could you please not do this because, people at my job, they kind of watching this, and I don't want to lose my job. I've been there for 15 years. I don't know if I want to wear my fringes, at work because I don't want to deal with all the questions, man. So I'm just going to tuck my fringes in, right? Because I don't want to stir up controversy. I'm not going to go over there and tell that brother, that he's an Israelite the Bible speaks of, right? Because I don't want everybody that's surrounded by him, right, to look at me weird. Maybe I'll go over here, Yeah, I'll probably go in my mama crib, for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to eat nothing, no. I'm just going to pop my head in and say, what's up? You feel me? And then I'll probably just leave, right? Hey, man, you guys can't even endure. Some of our people can't even endure these small afflictions, these small temptations. And here you have Job who completely lost his children, and yet he got down on his knees and he worshiped, right? And in all that stuff that he went through, Job sinned not, man. So we have to exhort that spirit like Job in these last days. When stuff rises up at an all-time high, dealing with these afflictions, we have to keep in mind that, hey, man, we're still an Israelite. We still have a job to do. We still have a race that we have to finish, man. This is not a straight path. I mean, this is not a wide path. This is a straight path that we're in, man. And Job right now is going through this straight path. Hey, if you want to be on that wide path, then join Christianity, man. Continue in Christianity. If you want to be on that wide path, then continue operating in the ways of the world, man. Because the Lord is looking down right now and he's seeing, right, who he's going to be able to use. Hey, it's sifting season right now, man. Especially during the cold seasons, man. Right? Shalom, my brother, your call, man, from WFI Seattle. Right? So we want to be like Job in these last days. He lost all his children, right? Here you had Job that's literally getting up every single morning, making sacrifices, right, to the Most High for his children's sins, because they just living all wickedly, right? Then he lost his children. And yet Job got on his knees, worshiped, right, fasted, right, and did not sin. Hey, that's mighty, man. These are the forefathers that we want to be like, man, right? We don't want to sit there and follow the so-called white man who puts out commercials and says, I want to be like Mike. No, we want to be like Job. We want to be like Yahweh Shai. And we want to be like our mighty forefathers, man. These are the people that we should be looking up to, man. So that we have some type of example on how to get through these perilous times that are around the corner, man. Right? Let's get the book of 2 Corinthians real quick. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. We're going to come back to Job. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 6. All right, let me get this real quick. Right? 2 Corinthians, right? Chapter 6. Let's start at verse 4, right? This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 4. And it says, matter of fact, I'm going to start at verse 3. Giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. So we don't want to sit there, right, and be offensive amongst the Most High God. Because not only are we offending our Lord and Savior, or not only we are offending, you know what I'm saying, our Father, the creator of us, we're also offending the nation. And you may got brothers that look up to you in this truth, and you don't even know, right? And yet you don't even know how to hide your folly, right? Yet you want to continue, you know what I'm saying, to just live in wickedness, man. Right? You're not only offending the Most High, but you're offending the ministry, man. You're offending the ministry, and you're giving more fuel to the fire for our enemies who are looking for us to slip in this thing. Right? Because Satan was looking for Job to slip in this thing. Here you have Satan that's making a wager with the Most High. Like, yeah, let's make a bet. I bet you if you allow me to do this, he gonna curse you, man. Right? But what happened? Job got on his knees in worship, and he sinned not, man. Right? 2 Corinthians chapter 6, let's pick up from verse 4. But in all things approving ourselves as the ministers of Yahweh, in much patience, in afflictions, in necessities, in distress, right? Because we have to go through much afflictions, man, to make this ministry perfect, man. We have to go through much afflictions to get through this ministry, to do this ministry. This is not an easy thing. Christianity don't even have to go through afflictions like this, man, right? Because they're on that wide path. But going on this straight path, you're going to have to endure afflictions like Job did, man, what we just read, right? In stripes, in imprisonments, in tumults, in labors, in watchings, in fasting. So when we're going through these afflictions, we have to watch, man, right? These are things that we have to realize, man. Thus saith the Lord, man, right? Let's go back to the book of Job, right? Let's pick up from chapter 2. Let's start at verse 1, right? And we're going to read all the way through 10, right? Again, there was a day when the sons of Yahweh came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. See, it's never going to change. Satan's constantly going to be doing his job every single day. This is why us as men of the Lord, we have to be on our job 24/7 as much as we possibly can. Especially as we're encountering the fifth seal, man, right? Because best believe you want to be saved up out of Jacob's trouble. You don't want to be caught up in Jacob's trouble, man. And if you don't want to be caught up in Jacob's trouble, during the times that we're living in right now, it's time for you to study. It's time for you to pray. It's time for you to fast. It's time for you to dwell amongst your people. It's time for you to live righteous and separate from evil. Abstain from evil. Eschew from evil, right? Verse 3, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth Yahweh and escheweth evil, and still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. So here, you know what I'm saying? You got the Most High is like, look, consider my servant Job again. Hey, just because you go through a certain affliction, right? And you keep the commandments, and the Lord brings you out of that affliction, out of that trouble, does not mean that it's not going to happen again. The Lord likes to put us through tests, man, because when we are being servants for the Most High, he likes to show us off, man, right? Because we are the chosen children of the Most High, man, right? Just like you like to show off your children, right? You sit there and take pictures. Oh, look at my little girl. Ain't she pretty, right? Look at my little boy. Yeah, he gonna get all the girls in school, right? You got a lot of parents that like to show off their children, man, right? And the Most High likes to show us off when we keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So you have to keep that in mind when afflictions come your way, that even though you get through them, You got to be willing and waiting for that next affliction, which is why that we should be rejoicing in these things. Hey, if you're doing your best to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you're praying, you're fasting, right? As much as you possibly can, and you're constantly being afflicted, and that's the Lord chastising you. You should give thanks because the Lord is dealing with you, man, right? Verse 4, and Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath, he will give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with what? With sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. So here the Most High allowed Satan, right, to afflict his body, man. He just said, just don't kill him. And he hit him with boils, right? Sore boils, right? From the sole of his, you know what I'm saying, from the sole of his foot all the way to his crown, from his head all the way down to his toes. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down amongst the ashes, man. So here you had Job, man. These boils were so bad that he took something, he's trying to scrape them off, man. And that's a lot of pain, right? That's very irritating, man, right? Verse 9, right? Brother brought out verse 9, right? Verse 9. And then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. Hey, you may have your own wife that may turn against you in this thing, man. The Lord might allow Satan to put a spirit on your wife to kind of buck up at you. And you being a man of the Lord, man, are you going to sit there and fold under pressure? You can't sit there and fold under pressure, because with pressure brings diamonds, man. These are things we got to realize, right? Let's see if Job, you know what I'm saying, folded under that pressure with his wife, man, right? But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of Yahweh? And shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. So in all this, Job didn't even sin. You see that? Here he has his wife who's probably looking at him, right? With all these boils from head all the way to toe, right? Let's pull this up, right? Let me see if I can search this, right? Let's see what boils looks like, man, right? Right? Bear with me. See what it gives me, man. Right? Then I'm gonna share my screen. Right? Let's get some images, man. Right? I'm gonna share my screen. Salakia. See what it gives me. All right, bear with me, Israel. All right, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Here you had Job, who got all these boils from his head all the way down to his toes. And it's kind of like he probably got that damn, that King Kong disease, man. The Lord probably let Satan hit him with the King Kong disease that everybody's going crazy over right now here in Babylon the Great and on all four corners of the earth. See, nothing is new under the sun. We got to realize these things, man. Right? So I'm going to share my screen. Look at this. Imagine having this from your head to your toes, right? Look at this right here. That is nasty, bro. Look at that. Imagine having this, man, right? All over your skin. Then you scraping this. Imagine scraping this off right here. Hey, it looks like popcorn, man. Right? Imagine having skin that looks like somebody took a box of corn pops and poured it all over you, and it's just stuck to you. You see that? Right? And here you had Job's wife. She's probably seeing this. Look at this Edomite's lip right here, right? With this boil on his lip. Hey, I'm led to believe that Job's wife seen Job with these boils on his lip, and she kind of looking at him like, bro, you got an STD, bro. Like who are you kissing on? Right? We're gonna keep it PG-13. But let's be real with it, man. We got to bring it to you raw and direct, man. Live and direct. Look at that, man. Absolute nasty madness, man. And the Lord can do this to you. Don't think that the Lord can't do this to you, right? And here you got the so-called white man, right? That's calling this same stuff the King Kong disease. You see that? The King Kong disease. Look at that, man. Look at this picture right here. Popping. Right? Popping. And we ain't talking about damn T.I., man. Talking about having big thing popping. No, this is boils in your skin popping, man. Right? But what did Job say? I'm going to keep worshiping the Most High because losing is not an option. Right? Right? These are things we got to realize, man. Right? And through all that affliction that he got, having all those boils on his skin, looking like a reptile, man. Right? He didn't even sin. You see that? And that's mighty, man. We should want to be like that in these last days, man. Right? Now let's jump to Job chapter 5. Right? We're going to jump ahead a little bit. Let's go to Job chapter 5. And let's start at verse 17. This is Job chapter 5, verse 17. Behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh corrected. Therefore, despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. Right? So basically, you got to rejoice and be glad when the Most High chastises you, as we were going into earlier. Because this is what Job did. How are you going to be able to endure in this truth if you can't even enjoy being chastised by the Most High, man? Hey, whenever something is going bad, saying for you, that's the moment that, you should always examine yourself, but you should really examine yourself during these moments and go harder in this truth. Because the Most High puts these afflictions on you to show you something, to show you where you're going off, or to put you through that test. And you have to be able to have the discernment to be able to discern the two, right? Because a lot of times, you're just being punished because you're not going hard in this truth, right? You're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments like you should be keeping. You're not reading. You're not studying. You're not loving your brother like you should. You're not loving your sister, man, right? Hey, the Lord said, behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore, despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty, man, right? So we should take joy in being chastised by Yahweh, man. These are things we got to realize, man, right? And embrace this stuff, man, right? Now, let's jump to verse, let's stay on chapter 5. I want to jump to verse 20, right? Let's go all the way to, let's go to 22. This is Job chapter 5, verse 20. In famine, he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. So that's the type of spirit that we want to exhort when that famine hits, man, right? When these wicked Edomites, man, try and come and send you up to the synagogues, man, and to the councils, right? You want to laugh at that thing, right? You want to have an attitude like, hey, man, hey, let's just get this thing going, man. Let's get this party started. And a lot of us Israelites, we kind of waiting for this thing to kick off, man, right? We waiting for Vladimir Putin to push that button. We're waiting, right, for the Lord to send more spirits on the left-hand side in our enemies to really kick this thing off, to get World War III kicked off, man. Hey, they said that it's supposed to go all the way to digital currency, supposedly on December 13th. Our brother at camp told us that yesterday, man, right? I was looking at my brother Yakar. I was like, okay, well, you know what I'm saying? Lord willing, because they've been all talk, man, right? And we want this thing to kick off, man. Yeah, it's going to affect certain households, man. Yes, the famine can affect us, man, right? But these things were written for our learning. We're supposed to be ready for these things, man. We're supposed to embrace these challenges that the Most High is going to bring towards the children of Israel, because this is part of going through that fire, man. Right now, it's easy right now. Let's just keep it real. Right now, it's easy right now, right? You don't have a bunch of men that's being persecuted on the streets, on the highways and hedges for keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and waking up our people. But as you start to see more of our people wake up in this truth, as you start to see more camps emerging, as you start to see more people who are wearing fringes, who are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, then the quicker, right, that this thing is going to kick off. So you have to prepare your spirits in these last days. Like Job had his spirit prepared. And you think Job knew that he was going to lose his children, get boils all over his skin, right? Literally become a laughing stock, have everything removed from him? No. But before that, he still worshiped the Most High. He didn't allow himself to have that covetous mindset, right? And we can't do that. Thus saith the Lord, man. These are things we got to realize, man, right? Now let's go to Job chapter 9, verse 20, right? Just got a few more. This is Job chapter 9, verse 20. If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me. If I say I am perfect, it shall also prove me perverse. So don't be trying to justify yourself in these last days, man, right? These are things we got to realize, man. Do not try to justify yourself, man, right? Because the moment that you justify yourself, man, you are just justifying yourself as being perverse against the Most High, man. We're nothing but skin, flesh, and bones. We're nothing but filthy rags, man. So we have to keep that in mind, because that's going to keep us at a humble state of mind. That's going to keep us humble in this thing. That's going to keep us going harder in this truth. And last I checked, man, right, when we're staying humble in this truth, right, and we're realizing that we're just filthy rags, it's going to give us more knowledge and wisdom, because we're fearing the Lord, man, because we're going to need that knowledge and wisdom in these last days. Let me get that precept real quick, right? Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 33, right? Bear with me. I believe it's Isaiah 33, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 33. Let's start at verse 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So wisdom and knowledge is going to be the stability of our times. But if we are constantly trying to justify ourselves as if we got all the knowledge and wisdom, as if we don't need to read, as if we don't need to study, then, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the brother said, like, we will be no more, man, right? There's no use for us. And these are things we got to realize, man, right? All praise to the Most High, man, right? That we still have this knowledge and wisdom when we are getting ready to approach the famine of the word, right? Don't sit there and wait, man, till all hell breaks loose, because all hell is breaking loose right now, whether you know it or not. Now is the time to operate in that spirit of Job, because if you're operating in that spirit of Job, one who is perfect, one who escheweth evil, then you're going to be able to get through these times. You're going to have stability when you're going through trouble. You're going to have stability because you're going to know the precepts to go to, right? To know what to do. You're going to know that you need to get down on your knees, face the east, and pray. You're going to know that you need to fast. You're going to know that you need to go harder in this thing, man, right? So don't justify yourself. Let's go to Job chapter 12. Let's start at verse 4. I am as one mocked of his neighbor who calleth upon Yahweh, and he answered him, the just upright man is laughed to scorn. And when you're in this truth, you're going to be laughed to scorn. You're going to be mocked, right? You're going to be looked upon as an embarrassment amongst everybody else who wants to continue to live in wickedness. You cannot allow what people say about you for serving Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to throw you off this path, man, and put you back on that wide path. You have to stay on the straight path and realize that through much affliction, right, it's going to bring endurance, and you're going to be able to finish this race. It's very important, man, because you will be laughed at being in this truth, man, right? And they laughed at Yahweh Shai, man, right? So what difference is it from you? Are you better than Yahweh Shai? If you were, then you would be that King of Kings. But the Lord didn't set you up for that, man, right? He set us up, man, right, to be vessels of honor, to represent our King, man, right? Yahweh Shai, right? And that's what Job did, man, right? Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 19. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 19. Let's start at verse 13. He hath put my brethren far from me, and mine acquaintance are verily estranged from me. My kinsfolk have failed, and my familiar friends have forgotten me. You're going to lose friends in this truth. You're going to lose family members in this truth. A lot of us have experienced that. But you also have a lot of our people who've come into this truth and then fell back into the world because of loss of friends and because of loss of family members, just to try to regain them back. Hey, you put yourself out there already, right? Why not finish the race? It makes absolutely no sense to sit there, right, and tell everybody, check this out, man. I'm going to start this company, right? You got the foundation laid out, right? Then you say you want to build this company, this business. You want it built to be 10 stories high. Then you get all the way to the 9th story, and then all of a sudden you get tired, like, oh, I just don't want to do it no more, right? Well, brother, that building's not going to be complete. You're not done. You have to constantly endure in this thing, man, right? These are things that we have to realize, right? The brother brought out a precept. Right? The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord, right? We're not above the Most High, Yahweh, man. We're not above Yahweh Shai, right? So we constantly have to be servants in this truth. And being a servitude, man, right? You got to do it forevermore, man, right? We got to continue being servants to Yahweh Shai, man, even when Lord willing, we receive his kingdom. It's not going to stop. But right now, it's very important that we take it up a notch so that our people can receive salvation, Lord willing, when these chariots come back. And here, Job was being that servant, man, right? He was not putting himself above the Most High. He's not putting himself above that servitude level, which is why that he stayed humble, right? He lost his friends. He lost his family. Right? He lost his children, right? He lost his good looks because, you know, us Israelite, man, we're created, you know what I'm saying, better than all nations. To the point his wife is trying to get him to curse the Most High. And yet Job sinned not. Are we going to operate like Job in these last days? Are we going to operate like Job and have that spirit of endurance when we approach, you know what I'm saying, Jacob's trouble, right? These are things that we got to realize, man, right? Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 38, right? Let's jump a little bit. Right. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to Job 19. Right. Let's go to Job chapter 19. No, I'm going to go Job 38. We're going to jump ahead a little bit. All right. Let's go to Job chapter 38. Let's start at verse 3. All right. This is Job chapter 38, verse 3. Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. And the Lord is going to demand us to literally be that representative for him. The Lord may demand you to lose your life in this truth. Are you going to be willing to do that? You got to ask yourself that. The Lord may demand you to be put into a FEMA camp, to be locked up in prison. The Lord may demand you to be separated from your family, man, in order to endure into this truth. You got to ask yourself that. And if you're not prepared for that, then you have to prepare yourself for that. Because if you are preparing yourself for that, then you are truly being that servant. You are truly doing the best that you possibly can to serve the Most High Yahweh, man. These are things that we got to realize, man. We have to finish this race, right? We are not at the end of this race yet, man. We can't sit there and have that spirit of the hare thinking that we just need to get through this as fast as possible. No, we got to be like that tortoise. Being that tortoise, you have to endure afflictions. Being that tortoise, man, you have to be patient in this thing. Being that tortoise, we know that when we endure these afflictions and that we are patient, that we're going to come out on top at the end. Understanding what that true reward is. Do you understand what that true reward is? Because the reward that we're seeking out is the kingdom. And to be able to receive the kingdom, it's an everyday battle. And Job understood that, which is why all the afflictions that came his way, Job sinned not, right? Let's go to the book of John, chapter 12, right? Let's go to the book of John, chapter 12, right? Let's go to the book of John, chapter 12. Let's start at verse 25, the classic. This is John, chapter 12, verse 25. And it says, he that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal, right? So if you want to sit there and love your life by holding on to the things of Babylon the Great, then you're going to lose your life. If you're worried and you're still caught up on how your life was before you came into this truth, to the point that you end up going back to that lifestyle, then you're going to lose this life, man. This everlasting life that the Most High has for you. So you can't love this life, right? Hey, Solomon said, I hate this life, man. These are things we got to realize, man, right? Solomon said that I hate this life, right? This is Luke chapter 14, verse 28. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it, right? So you got to count the cost when you come into this thing, right? This truth is not a game. And Job understood that serving Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai was not a game, to the point that the Lord allowed Satan to put afflictions on him. But guess what? Job always understood that he had a task that he had to complete. And that was to serve him in sincerity and in truth, to be that perfect, upright man that escheweth evil. So we want to operate like that in these last days. These are things that we have to realize. Thus said the Lord, man. We have to finish the race. So we have to be like Job in these last days, right? And the characteristics of Job, as far as from what we read, right? Just by jumping around, we've learned many different characteristics. That he's able to go through affliction, losing all of his family. That he's able to go through all these things, physical afflictions, dealing with the boils. That he's able, you know what I'm saying, to be laughed at, to be scorned at. He's able to lose his friends and his family. And guess what the Most High did, man? Right? He blessed him, man. Right? He blessed him double fold. Let's go to Job chapter 42, right? Let's go back to Job chapter 42, right? Let's go to Job chapter 42, bear with me, right? And let's pick up from verse 10. This is Job chapter 42, verse 10. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. You see that? And the Lord can do that for you if you endure in this truth like Job did. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house, and they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. Hey, the Lord even gave him 10 more children again, man. Right? We sit there trying to hold on to the things in this temporary world, this temporary captivity that we're living in, and we don't even see the bigger picture, right? You don't want to go into you don't want to continue to strive in this truth because you want to sit there and hold on to those materialistic belongings, man. When if you just strive and stay on this straight path, you're going to have that 10 times double fold in the Lord's kingdom, man. Right? Verse 14. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karinhapuk, and in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them an inheritance among their brethren. So he had so much that he was even able to give an inheritance to his 10 children, which he lost everything that he had to give as an inheritance to the other 10 children, right? Hey, I'm going to be real with you, man, right? A lot of brothers, you know what I'm saying, have gone through divorces, and then they're dealing with, you know what I'm saying, with mothers who keep the children away from them. Why not have the mindset of Job? Why sit there and cry about it, man, right? Don't sit there and cry about it and be like, well, you know, I just don't want to deal with this truth. I had all, she didn't leave me until I got into this truth. And let's just keep it real. I'm going to speak for myself, right? I'll tell a woman any day if she decided to leave me, you know what I'm saying, and keep my kids away from me. Okay, I'll just go make some more kids. I'm gonna keep serving the Lord, and he's going to bless me with somebody else, and I'll go make some more kids, right? Because that's what the Lord did with Job, man. Blessed him with 10 kids. And you think these 10 kids were sitting there celebrating their birthdays like the other 10 children, man, who died in the tornado in Job chapter 2 or chapter 1? Right? The Lord will literally take a whole family away from you. I've seen this myself. I'm not going to speak off stuff that I haven't experienced. We'll take a whole family that you started and built up from the ground up. We'll take that whole household away from you because you come into the truth, and then the Lord will replace you with a whole nother household, and everybody's keeping the commandments, right? And if the Lord can do it for Job, he can do it for you. Don't doubt Yahweh, man. Don't doubt Yahweh through his son, Yahushai, man, right? Verse 16. After this lived Job 140 years and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died being old and full of days, right? And we don't want to sit there and just hold on to wicked Babylon the Great and then just die out here in Babylon the Great and suffer the same punishment as our enemies, because we don't want to operate in that spirit of Job. So we want to be like Job in these last days, man. Right? Thus said the Lord, man. Right? These are things that we got to realize. And you can get many different accounts of endurance dealing with our forefathers in this truth. All you have to do is read. Take the time out of your day, right, and give it to the Lord, man, so that we can endure these afflictions that are coming upon our ways, man, that are coming upon us, man, so that we can be prepared, man, right, to get through this 5th seal that's getting ready to approach, man, right? So with that being said, giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'Shem HaMashiach Kamalak Yahushai. I want to say shalom to everybody that was in the chat. I hope you guys were edified. Let's continue to endure in this truth, right? And let's be like Job in these last days. Kwam Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah.